Hello everyone, my name is Gary. Welcome back to the garage in Spain, home to Arbeláez Junction. This video has been put together following a number of subscriber requests to see more of the actual work I undertake between layout update videos. One of the areas I've recently been working on is the diesel motive power depot. So in this mid-month update I will show how I had originally planned the depot space, the changes made to that idea, and bring you up to date with the current building works. Okay, let's take a look at the original design and site of the maintenance shed and sidings. Now here you can clearly see things are really cramped into the top corner of the layout, and after running things for a few months I decided to apply a little more thought to make the area look a little more organised. So works began with the realignment and replacement of the sidings. The maintenance shed was to be moved to the other end of the yard, and by doing this I soon realised I'd made the original design far too complicated. I now had an area of land which I could tie in with the existing terrain, but this meant I needed to first add a raised border on the end and the top right hand side of the baseboard. This was easily made from some offcuts of MDF. The back section only needed a regularly designed border, but I decided to add a curve to the side piece, as can be seen here. I attempted to create the effect that the area for the loco stabling had been purposely cut into the terrain, so I decided to add some layers of land next to the side section of the border. Again, the offcuts of various MDF panels used for the layout were ideal for this task. I purposely made sure the side sections of the land were designed as randomly as I possibly could. However, the land area to the extreme rear and centre of the sidings was left so as to appear that excavation works had created the landscape in accordance with the building engineer's site plan. In the next stage I used my trusted landscaping material, masking tape, to create the hillside effect onto the offcuts of MDF. I'll also leave a link box above which will take you to the previous build video showing how this technique was used to create the main hillside feature of my layout. So after covering the tracks with some plastic sheeting, I set about the task of layering the landscape area with plaster of Paris bandage. Again, I've left a link above for those of you who are interested in seeing a more involved use of this building technique, which also explains how I created the main hillside scene and road access to the coal yard. As this section of baseboard is actually made from chipboard, I'm very wary of distortion due to water ingress, so I always mop up as sections are completed. With the landscaping completed and dried, I next marked out the entrance gate area and the access road to be used for the yard, again employing my trusted masking tape. This also included the area which would be designated as the concrete working area at the site of the maintenance shed. General ground cover painting now began. The colours are a mix made up of various tail ends of acrylic tubes I found in my colour box. Once this basic paint laying was completed, the site was now looking a lot more appealing. The rail colours seen here were again a creation using mixes of the various Vallejo paints that I've got, and they were applied this time with my airbrush. To complete the yard track, I laid a mixed coloured ballast up to the area where the concrete shed and outside maintenance area would be. After a careful clean-up of the track, including the clearance around the switch blades of the points from specks of stray ballast, it was time to start laying a more convincing ground cover. I started this process by applying a 50-50 mix of water and PVA glue to the painted ground area, and I made sure that this mixture was painted up to and even onto the ballast edges. I had now received some new base stocks of ground foliage which I'd been waiting for, along with some scattering material. So with some of these and my own homemade scatters, I mixed a few together to provide a good ground layer, to which I plan to add various lengths and shades of static grasses later in the build process. A sensible tip now for anyone new to using scatters or indeed static grasses: always remember to use a vacuum cleaner with a suitable filter over the end of the pipe, or even better, a handheld bagless vacuum unit with which you can reclaim any unglued items from the baseboard. Here you can see that over 50% of the original scatter was recovered, and that can be used for another project. And in the next scene, this reclaim is shown in even better detail. So, with the new base covered down and the excess recovered, it was time to check the scene over and then move on to the laying of the yard access road. Again, the trusty masking tape was employed to create the sharp edges of the carriageway. Oh, and note the use of the vacuum cleaner. That justified the amount of cover I used, knowing that the excess will all be reclaimed. The final pieces of masking tape being removed, the overall look was very pleasing. However, there was still room for improvement. The start of the improvements came with the addition of a rear retaining wall. This was made from some hobby sticks which were cut, stained and scored to look like rough wood timber beams, which are held in place with now rusting steel upright support columns. The illuminated buffer stops were added to make the scene look a little more believable, and I've also attached a link above which takes you to the How I Made This video, which shows the full process of converting a basic Hornby 00 buffer into those you see here. To finish off this first stage of the build for the sidings, the tracks and the immediate rough land between the roads has been airbrushed with a suitable oily grime. With various classes of diesel locos stabled, the amount of dropped oil and diesel soon prevents grasses and weeds establishing themselves around the sidings. Next is the matter of the refuelling areas and the maintenance shed. Although I've used my own filament 3D printer for some larger items of scenic equipment, more finely detailed pieces are not so well replicated with it, and I feel a resin 3D printer is a more suitable unit for these type of things. So, with this in mind, I found a selection of commercially available white metal and styrene pieces to populate the fuel areas and the work area of the maintenance shed. I also scratch built an external storage yard which is surrounded by a corrugated fence, and I've included a caption process video so you can see it being built. So, in placing these various pieces around the fuel areas and the maintenance shed, I feel the scene is really coming together well. In bringing this mid-month update to a close, I'm pleased to show in a moment the static grasses have been added, along with various areas of clump foliage and bushes. These have really made for a more realistic look to the sidings and the areas up to the maintenance shed, the latter of which is due much needed work to repair the original scratch build roof and is also in need of suitable weathering. Please look out for the next monthly layout update, and be sure to add a like and any comments you may have in the area below the video. I promise to answer all questions posed. Also, don't forget that if subscribing is free, all you have to do is click the little bell beside the subscribe button and you'll be notified when I upload future material. Thanks again for joining me here at Arbelayers Junction, and until next time, stay safe and well and enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.